Okay, let's see if this gets jacked up again. This is cinema, everybody, okay? This is freaking cinema, okay? My fucking shit got. Oh, I was talking about Bill Maher Club Random with Woody Allen. Your shit. Bill Maher's telling Woody Allen your shit. The guy's made some of the greatest films in the last 50 years. Your shit. What I like about your shit, it's like Bill Maher, you don't. It's unbelievable the condescending way. But what could we expect? I think the thing is like I think Bill Maher's whether we like it or not, people do tune into him to hear his stupid fucking smarmy confrontational kind of even though says the same shit all the time. Uh it's like you kind of who else has Woody Allen on that you're going to watch? It was a waste of Woody Allen. He barely got a word in edgewise. It was basically Bill Maher talking the whole fucking time. It's like, dude, you got Woody Allen on the fucking show. Like, he's asking about Twilight and shit. Okay, so I was going to talk about wrestling. Okay. Well, specifically, I don't know what for whatever reason. I think the 90s, maybe it's just nostalgia. I guess it's just youthful nostalgia. Maybe for me, it's escapist nostalgia. But it was a better world. That was the peak. The 90s, at least in my lifetime, Clinton 90s. So it's interesting because one of the things that's crazy about the 90s in wrestling is how much switching there was among the organizations and how a lot of the times the organizations like flipped. It's almost like the WWF became WCW and WCW became the WWF. Because if you watch the early 90s stuff, like WCW stuff, it's like there's Steve Austin, Mick Foley, Jim Ross, Triple H, The Undertaker's in fucking WCW for a little while. A lot of people that would later go on to be a part of like the fucking they kind of went through ECW, I feel like, into WWF. Paul Heyman is in WCW in the early 90s. So it's crazy. It's a lot of this, but at the same time, Jesse Ventura's there. And then there's certain people that you're like, it's almost like they're in both places at once. Like if you watch like X-Pac is in tons of WCW stuff in like the NWO and like Nitro in like 95. But before that, he's 1-2-3 Kid. And he's on Monday Night Raw, or he's on whatever the fuck, Superstars or whatever the hell it is. He's wrestling Bret Hart. He's wrestling Razor Ramon. And then he's in WCW, but then he's in, I remember, he was in D-Generation X. He's X-Pac. British Bulldog's like that too. It's like it's almost like he's in both of them at once. Big Boss Man is like in a bunch of the fucking WCW stuff. And then but then all these guys end up then all the WCW guys, Hogan, Macho Man, Macho Man's in all that Superstar stuff in the fucking early 90s. And then bam, next thing you know, they're on fucking Slamboree or whatever. The whole NWO is like Kurt Hennig is it fucking in it. Of course, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. But is this even getting through to anybody? I got no viewers. And so it's actually that early WCW stuff, or like, I guess not early, but it's early 90s, late 80s. I heard Crockett or Cornette say something about Starrcade 86 is like his gold standard for like pay-per-views or whatever, Starrcade 86. So I've been, which is weird because when I was a kid, it was the opposite. I hated all of the WCW stuff. I couldn't watch Nitro. I hated it. Now it's like, I don't know. I go back to that stuff more. I'm more kind of interested in the NWA, WCW side of things. WWE stuff has its interest too, but it's a different style of wrestling that I think when you're a kid, I don't know, it's edgier. It's more like pop culture. But if you actually like love wrestling, the NWA, WCW stuff, it's like is more kind of about wrestling. In a traditional way. It's not about the gimmicks. A lot of them don't even have gimmicks. Like what the fuck is Tully Blanchard's gimmick? Or fucking, Harley Race or any of those guys, other than they're just like ass beaten fucking Southern guys or whatever. And so it's amazing to me how much of that early 90s WCW, like there was this pay-per-view they were showing over and over again. It has a hardcore match with Sting and Cactus Jack, which is Mick Foley. And Mick Foley does a bunch of he does a sunset flip off the fucking ring apron onto like the concrete floor. He does his like elbow. It's almost like a hardcore match. It's amazing how many fucking like classic matches Sting is in. Sting is always kind of there. He shows up in so much stuff. I would say over the last, because he just retired, over the last 35, 40 years, like Sting, he kind of had more continuity than just about anybody, actually, which is kind of crazy to think about. Sting kind of lasted longer, and he was kind of in more places. He was all over. I mean, he never went to WWF, though, right, until way later. But he fought Vader in a bunch of he fought Flair in a bunch of shit. Sting is in a lot of classic matches. He's got a good move set. He's got a great look. But it's amazing how much of this pay-per-view is like in ECW. Like Paul E. Dangerously is like one of the managers and commentators and shit. And Steve Austin is in it. And they have that ramp that goes all the way to the ring. It's like a riser that kind of goes straight to the ring apron, which I think they do in Japan a lot. And ECW had it in a lot of their classic pay-per-views. I always loved that ramp that went straight to the ring. And there's that match where Sid came in and powerbombed the shit out of everybody. So it was like, it's weird because a lot of the mid-90s like ECW stuff felt like WCW in a weird way, which I never would have expected that when I was a kid. But like, even fucking Sabu, if you watch the first episode of Nitro, goddamn Sabu is on the first episode of Nitro, of all people. And I will say that I feel like WCW was always better about international wrestling. I think they were serious about wrestling. Like if you watch the first episode of Nitro, the first match is Brian Pillman versus Jushin Liger, which Jushin Liger is this incredible Japanese wrestler, wears this amazing costume. He looks like a fucking Power Ranger. And if you watch a lot of those early 90s WCW pay-per-views, there's a lot of Japanese wrestlers. There's fucking Great Muta, or there's women wrestlers. I watched this fucking tag team. It was like 4 Asian women wrestling. For early 90s wrestling, that's pretty cool in an American show. I don't think WWF was really doing that. They maybe had a little of that, but it seemed like WCW like respected that stuff a little more. They do a joint pay-per-view with New Japan or whatever. They'd have fucking Inaki or whoever, So I don't know. As an adult, that stuff has kind of aged well. I don't know. There's something about the WCW aesthetic that's like, I guess it's a little more like wholesome. I mean, especially with Attitude Era, WWF was always trying to appeal to like, I don't know, immature teenage boys or whatever. And Vince McMahon's sense of humor is just like very fucking roided up and coked up and sophomoric, scatological, which fit in at the time, right? With that was the beginning of like South Park, and that's when we were at middle school. We were the demographic for that. And at the time, you just thought, "Oh, Nitro sucks, man. I don't want to see fucking Hogan come out and do some endless promo with Bischoff and like fucking his nephew." And it's just like they went overboard with they put too many goddamn people. You know, Kurt Henning's in the NWO and fucking Macho Man is in the NWO. It's like it kind of would have been better if some of those guys stayed out of it and fought against them. That would have, it's just like at a certain point, they all fucking joined the NWO. It's like Sting is in the NWO. Like, what the fuck? That was like their big adversary. It needed that, kind of opposition, and they just kind of lost it. And so I hated fucking Nitro when it was Monday Night Wars and Raw and fucking, I hated watching Dean Malenko and fucking Saturn, and I never liked Dean Malenko. I hated Steven Regal. Everybody's like, "Oh, Steven Regal's a technical." It's like, fuck Steven Regal. He's so boring. His gimmick it sucks. That gimmick I've always hated, like that sort of like pompous European Jean-Paul Levesque, Lord Steven Regal. Fuck that gimmick and fuck technical wrestling. I can appreciate it now. Now I actually find that stuff really exciting. I was watching some Dean Malenko. He beat, who was it? Disco Inferno. You knew those guys were never getting above that. You knew Disco Inferno, Malenko, they were always going to be in the first match on Nitro. But they, to be fair, they should have just let those guys just go ape shit. They should have just been like, Malenko, Disco Inferno, you go out there and you put on a 20-minute fucking like barnstormer. Barn burner. You bring the house down, Dean Malenko. You short king. I mean, WCW had the cruiserweight division, right? That was like, my friends loved that shit. When we were in middle school, everybody fucking loved Rey Mysterio. Because he was like us. He was this little fucking... I mean, Rey Mysterio is definitely one of the greatest fucking entertainers of the last 50 years. He's like Spider-Man. He's like a real-life Spider-Man. I mean, some of the shit Rey Mysterio has done. He's a fucking icon. I never really liked Eddie Guerrero that much. People always talked about how Eddie Guerrero was like one of the greatest. I never really got why Eddie Guerrero. Now that I'm older, I can kind of see it's interesting when wrestlers kind of have their own, like Jericho. Jericho's aerial. He's like a cruiserweight. He does a moonsault, but he's not like, he can do a Frankensteiner or whatever, but he's not like Rey Mysterio. He's not going to do, tons like a fucking, handspring fucking tornado somersault or whatever, plancha. He's got his own kind of like heavier style. He's got a little bit of Stu Hart done, like he's got the Lion Tamer and shit. But or Eddie Guerrero's like that too. It's like he's sort of a luchador, but like he really doesn't do any flips. He might do a Hurricane Ron or like a Frankensteiner, but he's also kind of powerful because he roided out. And he's got a little bit of like, he does chops. I don't know. It's interesting when the wrestlers kind of are between those. Like Shawn Michaels is kind of like that. He can do aerial stuff. He does a moonsault. He does that elbow thing. But he's also, he's not totally a cruiserweight like Ultimo Dragon or some shit who just like flying off the fucking walls and doing all kind of flips and this is my wrestling podcast, okay, everybody? I talked about how I got fired from my job. If you want to hear about that, it's in the other This is pure wrestling. Another thing I'm really into actually is tag team wrestling. I think tag team wrestling is kind of its own art form. And I miss the kind of pure, like the Steiners. There was like anything with the Steiners. They're such interesting wrestlers on their own that like I'm pretty sure Scott Steiner invented the fucking Frankensteiner. Like that's crazy. That's like inventing the fucking kickflip or something. Like Scott Steiner is kind of an unheralded. He's underrated. I mean, he was always one of my favorites, actually. Scott Steiner had some of the most hilarious promos ever. And I still quote Scott Steiner like regularly to this day. He wore that fucking chainmail and shit. He had the craziest bicep I've ever seen in my life ever. Does anybody have a bicep like Scott Steiner? Like, fuck no. It's a real weird, it's like having a mushroom dick or something. It's like, whoa, look at fucking Scott Steiner's bicep. Whoa, it's fucking crazy. That's weird. But he's awesome. He invented the fucking Frankensteiner. And they do all kind of other shit too. Like they do all kind of suplexes and shit. They do that bulldog off the shoulders. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about tag team matches is when they put you up on the shoulders and you fucking, clothesline them or whatever. You can't beat that. You can't beat pure tag team wrestling. But sometimes, the tag team's got to split up. Shawn Michaels started out in a fucking tag team. Sometimes you got to kick a motherfucker through the Brutus the Beefcake glass window, Shit's got to, justice must be. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what am I doing with my life? I'm watching wrestling pay-per-views. To me, wrestling, and I've probably said this on here before, it's a metaphor for whatever business you're in. And god damn it. Is this fucking thing why does my connection keep cutting out? Okay. It's back. For some reason my connection keeps shorting out. I don't know what's going on. They're trying to silence me. They're trying to silence my truth about wrestling. I was just trying to do my wrestling podcast, okay? Well, that was the whole point of watching all this shit, so I could talk about it. It's an art form, and it is almost like a live stream, or it's a live performance. I mean, Speed was at some wrestling thing. You got fucking speared. You got put through the announce table as part of his goddamn live stream. You can't beat Speed. He already did it. He's already doing it. I mean, it's too late. He's already invented the future of fucking filmmaking. And he's already he's making the greatest content. To me, it's probably the best content since The Sopranos. The way that The Sopranos shook the culture. I feel like I Show Speed's IRL 50 day. Uniting America, everybody. We're bringing America back together. And so wrestling is a metaphor for show business. It's a metaphor for poetry. It's a metaphor for poetry readings mostly. Wrestling is it's the territory. See, I didn't want to be Vince McMahon of poetry, open mics. What am I? You have to have territories, okay? You've got the NWA. You've got Memphis. You got Music City Wrestling. You got Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You got Vern Gagne in Minnesota. You got a Georgia Championship Wrestling. You got Florida Championship Wrestling. You got the Von Erichs in Texas, okay? And then McMahon is up in the Northeast. That's New York. McMahon Sr., the territories, okay? That's how open mics. You got Williamsburg, you got Pete's, you got Ridgewood, you got the Bronx, you got New Jersey territory, you got KGB downtown territory. I run my promotion. I run my shows. my Monday Night Raw. I do pay-per-views. I do the live streams. This is like WWF Superstars or whatever, where we hype you up for the next pay-per-view. It's just an advertisement for the pay-per-view and the live event. They're never actually going to have a clean finish. Everything's got to be double-crossing. But in retrospect, I don't even know if I could watch WWF Attitude Era stuff. There's certain things, I don't know. Some of those, they're good in their own way. WWF has its own style. And there's amazing shit. I mean, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker have put on some incredible matches over the years. And Shawn Michaels, I think, is probably the best, like, major star as far as like a wrestler goes, probably ever. He just got the most psychology. In-ring psychology is what it's all about, everybody. But I'm trying, so it's a metaphor. Like, I got fired, right? So this happened to all these wrestlers. Austin got fired from WCW. Mick Foley probably got fired from WCW. Vader is in both. He's another guy that's like in both all the time. It's like Terry Funk is in both. He's in WCW. He's in WWF. They're all everywhere. Benoit is in WCW. He's in WWF. He's in ECW. They're all constantly getting fired. And, a lot of them will have like some early kind of like run in a major, or they'll show up in some weird match that's like a dark match or a house show or something. But, that's years before they actually succeeded. Like Mick Foley, right? Mick Foley, I think, was in WWF matches in like the 80s, but he was like a jobber. He was like a no-name jobber. And then he kind of worked his way into WCW and blah, blah, blah. He started working Japan. And he just gradually over time, and then in the Attitude Era, it just fit. It just was his time, finally. His style of doing things really worked for the aesthetic. This more kind of edgy, hardcore wrestling, street fighting, breaking the rules on TV. A lot of them get fired by Vince. They work in New York for a little while, but then they decide, hey, fuck this. I don't want to live in Connecticut anymore. I'm going back to Tennessee. I don't want to work for these fucking corporate taking a shit on people's heads. And so, I don't know. That's life. That's poetry, Even the greats, even the all-time greats, like Steve Austin, it took him a long time to sort of become the biggest name in the business, right? He was superstar Steve Austin. He had sort of a Hogan, Paul Orndorff gimmick thing. Then he got fired. He talks about how Eric Bischoff fired him. He got fired from WCW. I think he took too much time off or something. Stone Cold's a little bit of a diva. He never, even during his like he never fought Hulk Hogan. It could have been Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. They never did that match because I think Steve Austin would not work with Hogan. They said it wouldn't be a good match because what would they do? If you look at Steve Austin's wrestling style, it fit his character, but he was like a brawler, basically. It's interesting, but that fit that era. What the fuck is he going to do with Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan does 3 moves: big boot, leg drop, body slam. And Steve Austin's got not many more than that. Thez press, his elbow thing. I think he does like some kind of But in any case, maybe you need to, like I think ECW gave a place for those people to really just do whatever they wanted and kind of have like this more kind of like authentic, honest, breaking the rules style. He could do a shoot promo about working at WCW right on their fucking show. And it's sort of, he could figure out, be more true to, he could be his own character. He wasn't having some lame fucking booker telling him what his gimmick was going to be. It was more like a sort of a post Nirvana wrestling. It was more like grunge wrestling or something. Whereas like 80s wrestling was very like hair metal. Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Ravishing Rick Rude. That's all like hair metal. Macho Man. The big 80s. But they reinvented themselves, all those guys. That's one of the things that's fascinating about it, is to watch Hogan's midlife crisis and desperate need to stay relevant turn into the NWO. And this guy did have two characters that he created. I guess they're kind of two sides of the same coin. The Hollywood character probably wouldn't work as well without the idea that it's Hulk Hogan. He's basically just doing Andy Kaufman. I'm from Hollywood. I was on Thunder in Paradise, brother. I was in fucking Suburban Commando, all right? I mean, Hogan's voice. Okay, so this is one of the prime reasons. I don't know. Even though I hated him at the time, I think those promos are like the greatest thing. The NWO promos, Hogan's voice. Holy shit. It is so jacked. It's such an instrument in the 90s. That Hollywood Hogan voice is just really something. It's something. It's a nice instrument he's got there. And he's so fucking tan. It's like insane. His armpits are tan. I mean, as a little kid, you don't really get that, but as an adult, you know what it would take to like create that tan. Jesus Christ. So that's a big reason why I watch Nitro, is just to see Hulk Hogan and how fucking tan. You're just like, God damn. He had a look that nobody else could get. That's why he's Hogan. He really, and he died, right? I mean, Hogan just died. It's hard to believe that was 30 fucking years ago. Now these guys are dead. Scott Hall's dead. I mean, they all need to get in DDP yoga. We couldn't get Hogan in DDP yoga. Jesus Christ. We should have got Hogan in DDP yoga 5 years ago. God damn it. Or 10 years ago. He didn't need all those back surgeries. He just needed fucking DDP yoga. Have you seen Lex Luger? I mean, I remember seeing Lex Luger on the 700 Club or something a few years ago. And I mean, he looked like a lot of these guys. A lot of these old wrestlers, like, man, Bobby the Brain Heenan, I'm not sure. I think he had a disease or something. But some of these old wrestlers, like, it's really fucked up what happens to them. And Lex Luger was like that. You're just like, damn, this guy, I guess the torture rack, it's said because he has these heavy ass dudes and he's like pressing down on his vertebrae. It fucked his back all up. Supposedly Kurt Angle doesn't even have discs. He says his vertebrae are all fused together from wrestling. His vertebrae literally fused together. And so these guys really fucking give it their all. They really use themselves up to be gods, to be steroid gods. And it doesn't really... We should have got Hogan some DDP yoga, for Christ's sakes. We couldn't get him the DVDs or something. Brookie. Nick, drive your dad to DDP yoga for fuck's sake. No more back surgeries for the Hulkster. But it's like, I don't know. It's almost like these people aren't even dead. You know, there's so much fucking, like, we're watching Nitro from, it's like they made it today. It was a simpler time. I know that's a dumb thing to say, but like, there's really nothing political about it. You know, you're watching Nitro the whole time, and it's like, there's nothing. Maybe they'll make a joke about Clinton or something, but like, you know, the worst thing Clinton did was get a blowjob. That was kind of awesome in retrospect. That's kind of cool that we had a president that was getting a blowjob. I mean, it's way better than what we got now. At least that's like love. That's like a, you know. Now what do we got? We got a guy who's just fucking over the whole country. And who knows what his sex life is like. I guess he's 80. Do you think Trump has sex? Do you think Trump and Melania have sex? Or does he have porn stars? Like, he's got to have sex with somebody, right? Who is Trump having sex with? I mean, Melania won't have sex with him. She doesn't live with him. She does not live in DC. So it's like, who's the Stormy Daniels? Is it, who's the fucking press secretary? Is it the attorney general? I can't think of there. Is it Pam Bondi? Is that why we didn't see Trump for 3 days last week? Because he was getting tightened up and shit? We thought he was dead. We thought the son of a bitch was dead. I mean, I don't know. That was kind of an eye-opening moment in a way, because it's like it really was an indication of just like how dumb the internet is, and how trends are just like this self-perpetuating nothing, where it's like there was no real reason to assume that the guy died. There was no evidence other than like his fucking hand and his ankles. I guess that's he's got these big bruises on his fucking hands, which he's sort of acknowledged, to be honest, and his cankles too. He's sort of acknowledged the cankles, like, and so I don't know. I've seen varying, like I said, on TikTok, it'll show you anything you want to hear, or you don't know what, I've seen videos of people talking about their nursing, their IVF nurses or whatever the hell it is, or they work in homes, and they're like, oh yeah, that's congestive heart failure. I recognize that anywhere. And I've seen anything from people saying he's got a few years to you can live 20 years, you can live a long time with it, to, he's got 6 months. He's got bruises on his hands. I mean, like, I think, yeah, if he's got bruises on their hands, I think it's safe to say that they're injecting him with something. He's having some kind of fucking IV. And he's got swollen ankles, right? So, I mean, that could just be fucking, that's not an uncommon thing, I guess. There's not, I mean, he's clearly losing his mind, but like he's 80 fucking years old. Like, I don't necessarily think there's any reason to think he's going to die like soon. Apparently this is a common thing under dictators like Putin, I guess. There's always rumors about Putin's going to die. I saw that. That sounds true to me. I think that's just a phenomenon of like having a dictator, because it's like that's your only way out, or like that's what you think is the way out. So I think it is like that's what people want to happen. But I also just think it's like wishful thinking. It's like this will probably happen more. There will be speculation, but like to be honest, he just doesn't look that unhealthy. I hate to say it, but in the videos of whatever the hell it is that he did the other day, now they're going to put troops in Chicago. They're going to invade Venezuela. He looked pretty healthy to me. It certainly didn't look like he was like on death's door or anything. It didn't look like he had a major procedure of any kind. He did not seem weak. He seemed like, I mean, look at fucking Willie Nelson is over 90. Like it's if you have good medical care, that generation, they all live to be fucking 90. So I hate to say it, but I don't really know that that's going to be. Who knows though? I mean, his diet is like famously horrible. So, if they're giving him an IV and if his ankles are swollen, it's like that's not a great sign. But he probably has a few years, I would think. I don't know. I think it's harder to kill somebody than the human body's pretty fucking resilient and pretty fucking strong. And if you want to stay alive, it can be hard to kill. Trump is going to be hard. So, fuck. I don't know. I think that'll just be like probably a recurring thing. People talking about, oh, Trump died. But we'll see. I think we will know. I don't really think they're going to try to hide it from us. That's something I saw in comments. Is like people like when a dictator, like a fucking Moon over Parador, when the dictator dies, they try to hide it from the people, so they can keep governing without that vacuum, the power vacuum. Like if people know that the king is dead, it creates this power vacuum. And then God knows who would try to get in there. But I mean, it seems to, like, okay, so he just had this fucking meeting with the tech people, right? There was this big ass kissing. Let me get some, sorry. I'm going to have some fried rice here, everybody. Some kind of weird, I mean, for as obsessed as people are with like Eyes Wide Shut and the Illuminati and like cabals of fucking small groups of people like deciding, one world government or, they're going to put a chip in us or it's like that table of the tech billionaires. It's like, that's them. Those are the people that right now, with Trump's cooperation, they are figuring out how to segue and transition our society from the way it's run right now to everything being governed by tech stuff and that shaping kind of our ways of life, our habits, how we live, how the cities are organized. AI. We're going to put everything into these fucking data centers or whatever. We're going to let AI figure it out. AI is going to tell us what we should do. And God, it sucks. I mean, this is one thing I wanted to talk about is I think we're living in an unprecedented time because the tech people, the people who create our phones, they have an unprecedented technology which allows them to control us in a new way. There's never been this much power. Like, they can do this. You know, they can decide like this is how we they can take over because if everything is run through their systems, and not only that, but they have us enslaved to the phone where it's like we're addicted, we're on it all the time, we're feeding it data, whatever the data is for the AI modeling. They've already got us isolated, addicted, alone, sad, triggered, angry, hopeless, doom scrolling. W in the chat, W in the chat. You know, they control what we see with pinpoint accuracy, what we don't see. Twitter can show us what tweets, you know, Facebook can show us. Instagram, the algorithm shows us, you know, what we see of our friends, our family, people we follow. And they can go in and just micromanage everybody's psychology with TikTok videos. You know, like me, it's like I see all these fucking videos about the economy's about to collapse. They want to collapse the US currency, the US dollar, and transfer everything over to crypto shit. You know, I think Trump is totally on board with that. I think he thinks it's the future. I think he can make a shitload of money from it. And so can all these guys. That's what's really scary about it because so many bad people have made so much money. There's something about tech stuff that just like enables the worst people to succeed. Crypto, like anybody who gets rich off crypto should not be rich. Like if you got rich buying some kind of shitty meme coin, you absolutely are the last person who should have money because that's just garbage. Everything about it is pollution. And it's that's just where we're headed. We're headed toward a society of this like libertarian law breaking, you know, like the environment is just gonna basically be all used up to fuel you know, data centers, which supposedly there's going to be some AGI. I really don't think AI is ever going to do anything, actually. Or I don't know. I think we're a long time from it like actually being, because all it does is take from stuff. It doesn't actually, it's not able to generate anything. It's just copying. It's not adding anything. And it's just way overblown, but at the same time they're investing all of these resources into, it's what, like 10% of the power in this country, the electricity is going to go towards AI data centers and powering all of that kind of shit. And they have the power right now to just like crash the government. Uh, a structured deconstruction. I heard somebody say it's a structured deconstruction is what they're doing to the federal government right now. It's a structured deconstruction, like my poetry, basically. I mean, to me, what my job did is no better than fucking Doge or Trump. That's all they did is fire everybody, fire people. Like, it's ruthless. It's ruthless. It's cold. It's ruthless. I expect that from like the capitalist, you know, uh, but if wokeness is not about compassion, I don't really see. I think that's part of the problem is like the left doesn't have a place for like, there's no like warmth. It's not about like unity or solid or equality or inclusivity. It's about like selected inclusivity, and it's about judging the fuck out of people and excluding people and shaming people and pointing the goddamn finger. And I like Mom Donnie. I'm ready for those fucking free buses. If he's the next Obama, like, let's go for it. If he's if he can capture people's imagination, I'd love to have free buses. We just took the bus the other day back from the Upper East Side for my radiologist appointment. If it was free, hell yeah. I mean, I can never tell if the bus driver actually wants me to pay or not, but we did pay. With Mom Donnie, it would have been free. I mean, that being said, I do think Mom Donnie is just like another example of like, he's just another elite. He's just another like Nepo baby, more or less. His mom is Mira Nair, and like his dad is like some academic, and like he's like everything in New York or everything in our culture that like actually has a chance to succeed. It's just like he's not like some man of the people that fucking came out of like the fucking ghetto of it, nowhere. It's like he is just another elite who is like selected to be our leader, and like because of his policies. And it's like, well, great. I mean, AOC on the other hand, AOC was somebody that was like a fucking bartender. Like her parents are not anybody. I like AOC. I like Mom Donnie, but he is typical of New York right now. I think that's why he's sort of the candidate that everybody likes, because he's like these people. They all are fucking trust fund nepo fucking. They've been important their whole lives. They're they're Ivy educated or whatever, which allows them to be smart enough to understand that like they can ask for these things, but they're also entitled. They're not just like these salt of the earth working people. There is no, the working people all vote for Trump. Although I do think the working people in New York are for Mamdani because he's like Bernie, he's a socialist. And so they understand like he's for us. He's going to rent freeze. He's going to make the buses free, whatever. He's doing a scavenger hunt. He's good at He's like Subway takes, you know, he's like just another TikTok kind of. I mean, his mom is Mirror. Of course, he makes fucking good videos. She did Monsoon Wedding or whatever. So it's like he fits, you know, his girlfriend is super elite. She's in the fucking New Yorker, but they're not like some fucking like cool DIY band or something. They're not like fucking the Ramones. You know, they're just like everybody else in the city. They're sort of like already have a bunch of status, already have the entitlement to like ask for that stuff. The city is sort of a closed city in that sense that it's harder and harder and harder to be a transplant here and just like make it. I guess if you're a fucking bartender, maybe, but not everybody can get that job. And Caught Stealing. Did you watch Caught Stealing? It was okay. I don't, you know, it purports that it's like after hours, but it never really, to me, after hours, like, has this kind of Kafka-esque, uh, I don't know, is that the structure? Is that there's kind of a muteness to it. There's like a silence to it. There's like an expressionistic quality, shadows, kind of exaggerated shadows that makes it eerie. That's the vibe. It's got this kind of weird, nightmarish limbo. Caught Stealing just felt like it felt nightmarish, and it felt like they're just like torturing this character. The ending was ludicrous. The ending was just insane. It was sort of like Death Proof meets Crash, the David Cronenberg meets Field of Dreams. I liked Austin Butler in it. I don't know, I couldn't get through the Elvis movie. The fucking Tom Hanks was just too goddamn weird. I couldn't even watch the Elvis movie. It was fucking horrible. But I thought he was pretty good in Caught Stealing, actually. It felt sort of like a superhero movie where it's about this guy who sort of like had this origin story that fucked his whole life up. And so now he's got to like fight these criminals to like get his life back or whatever. To like resolve his trauma. I mean, the thing is, it did a lot of the stuff that like Uncut Gems had already done, and Aura. Like the end of the movie, they go to Brighton Beach, and like it's funny and shit, but it's like they did this already. Like fucking Uncut Gems, they did the same thing. It's like gangster, it's like Hasidic gangsters, and it's like fucking Anora, same thing. It's like they go to Brighton Beach, and it's Russian mob or whatever. They go to fucking Tatiana. It's like I thought it was maybe like it was like a thrill. To me, it had more like suspense than Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems, I didn't really. I liked Uncut Gems and everything. It was good, but I don't really think it was like. I think it's a little overrated. This movie, like fucking. A lot of it, you're just like, holy shit, I can't even believe they did that. It definitely kind of had me on the edge of my seat, and like, I was freaking out for a lot of it. But it was also just kind of like a chase thriller movie. Like it wasn't really anything super profound, I don't think. And it, you know, it was cool that it was like, you know, I don't know. I guess they ground it in the idea of like this 90s New York. It's like, oh, it's New York in the 90s when it's still, which I guess maybe are people going to start to romanticize that era? like they remade besides the 70s. I don't know. Is that what Gen X, Darren Aronofsky is like looking back and like, oh man, remember when New York in the 90s, man, when it still had skinheads and Russian fucking mobsters beating the shit out of people, and the East Village was still kind of gritty and funky and pre 9/11. I don't think they included the World Trade Center in the movie. I don't remember seeing the World Trade Center, but there's some amazing drone shots. I think Aronofsky went crazy with the fucking drone, which I'm glad. It's like most directors, I feel like, are pretty conservative with the drone. They kind of just use it to be like a helicopter or something. Aronofsky was kind of he was doing some crazy shit with it. There was one shot in particular of like the courtyard between the tenements. That was like a pretty amazing shot of the East Village. To actually get it that it still looked like that. Whereas, now it's just a bunch of fucking white yuppies, transplants. It's people who watch Friends. Or I don't even know. I mean, god damn it. So yeah, it was okay. It was an okay movie. It's worth seeing once. But broken world, sad world. Okay, what the hell else is going on? Now that I lost my job, I mean, it just feels like all of society is kind of on this weird precipice where like everybody's lost their job, everybody got fired, no one can pay their rent. Maybe all these wars are going to start. We don't know. Are they going to start? Are they not going to start? Are we going to invade fucking Venezuela? Are we going to invade fucking Chicago? I'm just moving chess pieces around on the board. China, Russia, India, they're all fucking like unifying against us. Russia is getting more aggressive in Ukraine. The astrology for like the next few weeks is supposed to be nuts. So I don't know. I'm just hoping to it's been bumpy more or less for the last 10 years. And even before that, to be honest. And so just more fucking trying to move forward and get through it and just be ready for anything, I guess. I mean, partially, I just want to get to the 3-year anniversary. That's been my goal. Is I want to get to 3 years. If we could do 3 years with the open mic, if we can just get to that, that's sort of my next. And then we'll figure out what the thing after that is. Like obviously it's going to keep going, but if I could just do 3 years and just get to that, that's my. And so it's 3 years, September 22nd. And I don't know, man. Like I feel like my life, like my life is here. I'm connected here. My resources are here. All the people I know are here. And so I'll figure it out. I do think, well, okay, so I don't know if I can really talk about this, but I'm sort of going to be a part of this movie. So I'm looking forward to that. I guess I probably do pay too much attention to the news and the fluctuations of whatever Washington. and you should just live your life. Don't worry about the statistics. Don't worry about. I mean, Ashley has been trying to find a job for a while, and she did get a call the other day about some coffee shop or something, but it's not easy, That's and so I don't know what is the next chapter. If my goal would be, I guess, what I'd like to do is if I could just expand the open mic. If I could just do that like 3 nights a week. The thing about the job that I had, it really wasn't like it was sort of like an honorarium job. Like it wasn't enough work that it it was a like nice bunch of money to get for something that was like nice and fun to do. But it wasn't enough money to like really survive on in any substantial way. So it's like, it's kind of puts you in a position where it's like, well, I have to be flexible and like ready to do this, but it's just, it's like everything now where it's like, what are we supposed to do? We're just supposed to cobble a living together out of like 4 different jobs where it's like, okay, I do this, I do, I do this, I do this, I do this. I guess that's what I should have tried to do. I've been bad about, I had good jobs, maybe I should have been smarter about, but like I'm saying, they were these jobs that are like extremely part-time where it's like they're based on the scholastic or academic year. So it's like 3 months out of the year, you don't even work at all. And so it's like, well, I'd make maybe a couple $1,000s a year doing each job. It's like, that's nice, but like, it really only adds more on top of where I need like an actual like salary. And so it's like, well, it's taking up time to the point that I have to be involved with like emails and communication about it, but it's not enough money that it's really gonna gonna pay my rent, or even make that big of a dent in it, actually. Like on average, I guess I'd probably make $200 a month or something doing that, which is not nothing, but like it's just kind of extra money. And so it's a tough position to be in. And I was trying to sort of put that together with the open mic, and it was, it's a nice income to have, to like just have money, but like uh I guess my real goal would be if I could expand the open mic to basically do what I'm doing right now 3 nights a week or something. I could probably live off of that. Uh I've already got one night. If I could just get 2 more, which like, the event is very popular and it's continues to be. And if it's on a Monday, if we could do it on a Thursday or a Saturday or a Friday, I really do think these bars are not necessarily understanding it the right way, where it's like, if you did an open mic every Friday night, like people would fucking come to it. There's tons of people that would love to perform, and it'd be easier for them on a Friday because they don't have to work the next day, and they'd want to drink and they'd want to party and they'd want to stay the whole time. Monday, it's actually probably the hardest day to do that. I mean, we're blessed, with a beautiful audience, but like, if I could get a Thursday and a Saturday too, where I was making the same amount of money, basically doing the same thing, I just don't know. I think that would be sustainable in Williamsburg. There's probably more fucking people out there actually that would do it. If you got the right location in Brooklyn, like maybe by Jefferson Stop or somewhere on that access, somewhere on the L train, if you got the right venue that was like KGB where like it holds 50 people or 60 or 70 if you're really pushing it, 80. And we don't even charge a cover charge. If I just charge $5 per person or something, if I can get 30 signups, it's like that's $150 right there. And so if I could find the right venue in Brooklyn, and then maybe one like in Midtown or something, I don't know. It'd have to be in the right place. Maybe one in like North Brooklyn, one in South Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't really know what the other open mics, but I can't imagine there's too many of them that are like making money every week. So if I don't know, if I could just build that out, that that would be probably a more beneficial way for me to make money. I've liked being a videographer and everything. I like having those skills. If you're going to watch stuff anyway, it's nice to get paid for it. But, I would like to get more fully immersed in like performance stuff. I love doing the Monday because I get to execute ideas, like all week I'm like building these playlists for, these little sound bites that I play between the performers. I'm constantly thinking of stage banter, jokes, little station identification. Like on Letterman, they've got every show they do like a different. And now, because he's here, he's got lemons from Lemonade, blah, blah. Then they introduce him. Every show, they've got like a different little tagline or whatever. I like coming up with that kind of stuff. Little signatures that I can put on the between the acts. I'm starting to think about it like between the acts as like a little micro performance. Or what can I do? What can I do between the acts that won't take up too much time, but like is sort of like complete in and of itself? If I can do something that lasts 15 seconds. Like this week I did from Spaceballs, which they got it from the old Looney Tunes, when the alien pops out of John Hurt's stomach and it sings "Hello, My Baby." Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. That's like the perfect between acts length. It's like the song lasts for like 15 seconds. It's a little vaudeville song and dance. So for me, the show is an opportunity to do shit like that, to treat it like it's Nitro. You get to be Cornette, you get to be Paul Heyman, you get to be Bischoff, you get to be McMahon. But at the same time, you're letting the acts. You get to be Ed Sullivan, you get to be the vaudeville. It's a vaudeville basically. It's a talent show, and that'll never go away. People will always want to do that. People always will do that. It's good to do that. And so I try to put little touches on it without impeding too much. And so I'm doing that. Part of the reason why I watch TikTok 4 hours a day is to just get ideas, okay? To get ideas for music to play, to get little sound clips to play in the background. And I think that, I don't know, for me, it makes it more fun. I'd like to have a full-time, like, have you seen this comedian? I think his name is Zucker or something, Zachary Zucker, or it's something. He's a guy that does the Family Guy theme song. I don't know if people have seen that, but like his whole act is like these fucking sound effects. He's got a guy in the booth who like plays like on Tim on Office Hours, Tim Heidecker, like Doug Pound. They do those drop concerts. I love the fucking drop concerts. To me, that was what I was trying to do with System Lord and shit. Those drop concerts, they're like my poetry, honestly. My poetry is like a drop concert where it's like sampling all these like vocal stems from all of this crazy like pop culture kind of stuff. Dr. Phil or whatever the hell it is, Phil Collins. Stuff that everybody knows, just like household weird little sounds that are from like cultural, whatever, songs, TV stuff, stuff that Trump said. I'd like to do that stuff, but I also just like kind of the broad, just like taking like the Gong Show music or the Price is Right music or Night Court theme. I love TV themes. They're the perfect thing for like interstitial segue music, TV theme songs. But I'm also always trying to like tie the open mic to real life and to, you know, art that was made that's sort of connected to what we're doing, New York stuff, stuff from movies where they're sort of doing what we're doing. Whatever stuff, you know, like today I posted Paul Blackburn. And I posted that because I got Paul Blackburn, basically. Paul Blackburn was, and I feel this weird connection to Paul Blackburn in a way that's probably not good, but his poetry is a lot like mine. I guess I just ripped off Paul Blackburn, but he was a Black Mountain, and he's sort of like Frank O'Hara in some ways, but not, he doesn't have the swing. A lot of his stuff is very sexual. And it's sort of unreal. He wrote a lot of these journals. A lot of his stuff is like journal stuff. And it's like about where he is traveling. He's really into the troubadours. But in any case, he would do readings. I think he hosted the Metro or he started the Metro and he had this tape recorder. He lived above McSorley's, oddly enough. And he had a tape recorder that he would lug to the readings, a woolen sack tape. They've got it at the Poetry Project. They've got Paul Blackburn's tape recorder in the basement at the Poetry Project. And he would take it to readings. So he had this famous archive of all these fucking readings that he taped. And he started doing readings at St. Mark's Church. He was like one of the first people of that era to do that. And so he sort of like started the Poetry Project in a way. He was like the kind of prime motivating force behind like, let's do readings here. Let's try to get government money. And so the story is that he was instrumental because the Poetry Project was kind of an extension of these readings at Le Metro, which was on 2nd Avenue where the 13th Step is now. Or I don't even know what the fuck they call it now. Is it still the 13th Step? But that was Le Metro. And the readings there had like Frank O'Hara and Taylor Mead and blah, blah, blah. But so then they moved it a few doors up to the church. And, but when they started the Poetry Project for the first director, they didn't make Paul Blackburn the director. They made Joel Oppenheimer the director because I don't know. I don't really know why. I guess they didn't want Paul Blackburn to have too much power or something. In any case, Ann Waldman basically did the job from the beginning. I think she was like Joel Oppenheimer's like kind of like assistant or something. And she was basically doing it. He did it for like a year and then she took over, but she was basically doing it the whole time, I think. And so basically Paul Blackburn got kind of cut out of this thing that he kind of encouraged or whatever. So I got fired. And I don't know. I feel like Paul Blackburn, I guess. So I shared, that was my fucking Instagram story for the day, even though for whatever reason, my story views are way the fuck down. I used to get pretty much 200 to 250 to 300 views on any story I posted. Now it's like this story, the story I posted yesterday got like basically like 110 views. This is my life, okay? This matters. Somehow I'm getting more followers but less views. So in any case, I posted this picture of Paul Blackburn because I'm like, I kind of look like him. And so it's an inside joke. Every day, you know, like yesterday was Richard Avedon. I've always looked up to Richard Avedon. I think Richard Avedon is like one of the reasons why I'm here. I read something about Richard Avedon, like surrounded himself with poetry. He was always reading poetry. He'd tape up poetry to like his bathroom mirror or whatever. He'd fly to Sweden to see Ingmar Bergman direct a theater production or something, you know. And there was something about Richard Avedon's like connection with poetry and just like presence in his eye, his quickness, his ability to capture people's kind of like soul or whatever. I don't know. Richard Avedon is kind of like a major artist, if you ask me. And he's so glamorous. And as a New Yorker, he's sort of this like iconic New Yorker to me. Dick Avedon. He just seems very cool to me. And I never get any accolades for my photography. Not that it's good, really, but like I do take pictures of people at every open mic, and it is like sort of like a portrait of them. It's almost like a screen test. You know, when people come into the open mic, it's like, and maybe I'm no Dick Avedon, but I am taking pictures of people, trying to capture their soul. So it's like a portrait studio for me in a certain way. In addition to all of the other things. That's an aspect of it I've never really touched on before. You know, it's mostly about being a host and show business. And I like show business. You know, it's frustrating to me that stand-up comedy is like this right-wing fascist tool of bullying and being mean and verbally assaulting people and sort of being insensitive and honestly justifying racism and like trying to prop up like the worst. It's given like a voice to like just the worst fucking tendencies of people. You know, there's just like a meanness and like a brutal, like roasting should not be this much of our culture. I think Anthony Jeselnik sucks, man. There's nothing about that guy that I think is funny. I think his jokes are like horrific. I don't think they're clever. The misdirection, I think he's just like dark for no reason in a way that's just like really unappealing. I'm not laughing. And I don't know, but with poetry, it's like poetry is like, I don't know, it's this very serious world. And so I don't know. I've been more like my persona, you know, in nightclubs. I like being in nightclubs. I like being in church. I guess it's you act differently in church. That's what I'm not getting. But at nightclubs, I don't know. Nightclubs seem like the place to really, I don't know. It's an exciting time for poetry. I think poetry could really explode culturally. You know, there should be a cultural, if there's going to be like a cultural like phenomenon, I think it could be poetry. Definitely. There's a lot of smart young people, smart young women mostly, that do poetry, that are good at poetry. That's one thing I've noticed with poetry recently is like a lot of these poets have the same kind of like bitchy, like entitled, I don't know, the voice is like all about that. It's all about brat. You can hear like brat in the tone of the arrogance of like the fucking writer. This little coquette, whatever, wannabe manic pixie nymphette alumni. They dress, I mean, the way that these Gen Z, they dress so fucking, they all look like Hot Topic, Bo Peep, like they're wearing lingerie, like they're animes, but like dark. It's just so crazy to me. They're all like draped in these like Little Miss Moffat costumes or something, but like goth. They look like Nine Inch Nails, like Edward Scissorhands, fucking fishnet, word salad, word salad. I love a good word salad. I love me a good word salad. It's nutritious and delicious. Word salad me, sweet green. Give me some of that good old word salad. Anytime I'll take a word salad. I also like a word burrito bowl. Word fajitas are good. Yeah, I don't know. These Gen Z fucking, they're on crack. What are they wearing? They all just look like nightmarish anime tattoo fucking. But they don't have tattoos. I think Gen Z, do they not have tattoos? They're less tattooed, I think. Millennials really went ape shit with the tattoos. All of our trauma. We had so much fucking trauma. We had to work it out by getting the needle. Not me. Thank God. In any case, what the hell was I just complaining about? Poetry shit. Yeah, poetry, I think, really should be a cultural phenomenon. It's happening in New York. It's happening here. Like, there's all these unbelievable, Gen Z fucking voices. Or I don't know. I mean, they're ready, they're ready for the Rupi Kaur people, for the people weaned on that. It's like, this is the next step. Is like, I think poetry is strong in this city. I wanted to be a part of that. It felt nice to have like a secure poetry job. I didn't realize I was going to get axed by the fucking woke, by the leftists. I got fired by the leftists. What does that mean? I thought there was supposed to be like union protection and shit. I mean, granted, I was part-time. That's why I'm not eligible for any kind of unemployment or anything. Can I get any money out of this at all? They don't have to give me a severance package or anything. What about the emotional trauma of like having to work there for that many years? It's like the Devil Wears Prada of poetry. That's what it felt like. I'm going to write a book about it. I'm going to write an expose. Does anybody want to give me a fat advance? I'll write my tell-all book about the elite world of elite poetry in the New York City. My time in the Vatican. I've been excommunicated from the church. I've been kicked out of poetry church, everybody. But I mean, it's on brand. It's on brand for me. You can only be a stick. I mean, I don't know. I was ready to do the subtitles. I had no problem with doing the subtitles. I wanted to do the subtitles, but it seemed like they did not want me there. I know when I'm not wanted, okay? And so why fucking make it awkward for another year? I tried. I did my best. I tried. I fucking tried. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wanted it to work. I blew it. I'm an open mic host. What can I say? I'm a poet of the streets. Well, I don't know. It just felt less and less like this open place for working class people to go and just sort of like make their way in. The Poetry Project felt like a public point of contact between this sort of like very, you know, specialized type of work that typically is like in elite universities, expensive, highly educated. I never heard about any of this shit until I got to New York City, and it took me a couple years to even then to sort of like figure it out. And it was like the stronghold or whatever of the New York school style, second, third, whatever, fourth generation. So it felt like they should try to incorporate that a little more. Somebody's got to keep that alive. It would be a shame, if it wasn't more widely known and more widely preserved, and celebrated. And so that's a place where those people go and where they've been, and they're still alive, a lot of them. Whereas, I don't know, it felt like they just started to do the same programming that everybody does. It's like when you're on a book tour, it's like you hit all these places. You go to City Lights, you go to whatever, Alphil Reese. What's it in Chicago? Woodland Pattern or something. You do Lillian Vernon Writer's House or whatever. I don't know. You got to get paid. There she is. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Okay. Good night. Thanks for watching.